listeners. I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to the season 3 premiere of Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. In this episode, I interviewed romance author LYSSA Kay Adams. LYSSA chatted about her popular Bromance book club series, her recent novel, Crazy Stupid Bromance, and
Hi, Liz. I am so excited about season 3 of Reader Seeks Romance.
hi, Sidekick Gail. So am I.
By the way, I haven't received my season 3 contract yet. Am I being renewed? Because after all, I have other offers to consider.
It's in the mail, Mom.
Okay, I'll be looking for it. Thank you.
Welcome, LYSSA. I'm so glad to have you on Reader Seeks Romance.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
So congratulations on the success of your Bromance book club series. For those who are unfamiliar, could you provide a general overview?
Sure. So the Bromance book club series follows a group of men. It's set in Nashville, about a group of men who have a book club in which they read romance novels secretly. And they do so, they call them the manuals because they consider them instruction manuals on how to relate to the women in their lives and how to be better partners, better lovers, but also just better people in general. There are 3 books that are out right now, but there will be 6 total in the series right now. Yeah. So, and then each book follows a different couple, a different person, a different guy from the book club.
Oh, I'm excited to know that there are 6 planned. What inspired you to write a romance series so focused on male vulnerability, both in and out of the bedroom?
Those of us, heterosexual women who write romance, although the industry is more than heterosexual women, but we often laugh about how we wish that the men in our lives would read romance novels, read what we read and read what we write, because they really are like instruction manuals into how women think and how we want to be talked to, and, in and out of the bedroom, and, and just what we want out of relationships. But also most importantly, though, how we navigate the world and how different that is from men, that our lens that we see the world is very different from the male lens. But what really sparked it to sort of take on issues of toxic masculinity and male vulnerability was, in 2016, right before that election, the Hollywood Access tape came out that, had some very derogatory comments being made about women by a certain soon to be former president. And what really upset me so much about that tape was not just the comments that were made about the woman that they were going to be meeting with, but how the other men on that bus were egging him on. We have to do a better job letting men know that it's okay to be vulnerable with each other, to admit that they, when they're having, when they're emotional, and if they have questions about love and sex, and that they can have the same kind of conversations that women do with their friends. The book does follow a character that you meet in book 2 named Noah. He's a computer genius who you find out, in the 3rd book, that he actually had a past life as a hacktivist. He was a hacker and has a real chip on his shoulder about certain things. But he falls in love with Alexis, who you also meet in book 1, and then she has a bigger part in book 2. And so it's their story, but they are, at the beginning of the book, have become best friends. And so the trope that I explore is the friends to lovers trope. When she has a very unexpected surprise, a woman shows up claiming to be her long lost sister that she never knew about, and also says that their father, that Alexis has never met, needs a kidney transplant. Noah sort of helps her navigate that situation, and they grow closer, and their relationship blossoms through that. And in the meantime, the Bromance boys are planning Liv and Mac's wedding. And all of the planning has been turned over to Mac. Liv wants nothing to do with wedding planning. And so the guys are doing all the things that we normally think of brides doing, you know. And so that was kind of fun. The stuff about the kidney transplant, that actually does come straight from experience. My husband donated a kidney to his sister shortly after we got married. And so I always knew I wanted to write about that in some way, because that experience is so overwhelming in some ways. And there are things that you that never get written about, that never get told about that experience, about the impact on the person who is donating, you know, the kidney. The other thing that was, you know, that is crazy is that I wrote probably the majority of this book at a coffee shop. And to then go from that to writing the current book that I'm in copy edits on for, you know, book number 4 during the pandemic, I had to completely change my writing routine. It was strange now to be sort of locked at home, you know.
Netflix has optioned the film rights to the Bromance Book Club, which is super exciting news. So congratulations on that. What can you share?
Thank you.
Yeah, what can you share about this opportunity?
All I know is that the script is being written right now, and I'm not sure when it'll be done. We don't really expect anything to happen in 2021, but I will get to see the script, you know, after it's done. The movie still has to get, you know, it has to be greenlit before they actually start, you know, filming and casting and all of that stuff. And when that would actually happen, I don't know.
Do you have anybody in mind for the casting?
I always pictured Gavin as an actor named Bethel Wilson. He was in Heart of Dixie. Mac, you know, I kind of picture him a couple of different ways. I'm totally blanking on actor names. That's terrible. Oh my gosh. Jason Momoa.
Oh, you couldn't remember.
I know, like, what's wrong with me? If you sort of like gave him a haircut and shaved his beard, like that's like, there's just a cheekiness to him.
Okay.
You know, like he always looks like he's on the verge of a dirty joke, but knows he shouldn't tell it.
Yes.
Like that's what Max sort of looks like all the time.
Okay.
And those are the only two that I kind of picture for sure, you know. But hey, I mean, if they want to cast Chris Evans, you know, I'm not going to say no.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
Chris Evans for anything, really. You just give him any role. I'd be happy.
Well, if they cast him, I hope you get to meet him.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it is called Prima Ballerina. It was written in 1951. And I read it when I was in middle school. I went to Florida for 2 weeks to visit an aunt and uncle. And I was a library kid, so they took me to their local library, St. Augustine, Florida. And I picked out this book, Prima Ballerina. And it's the story of an 18-year-old girl who lands her first role in a touring ballet company, and she falls in love with the lead male dancer. And so I think it's more of a coming of age story, but there's definitely a lot of romance in it. I love the book so much that I slipped it into my suitcase and brought it home with me to Michigan.
Oh my, so that's a stolen library book.
It's the stolen library book.
Uh-oh.
Except, okay, so then my aunt and uncle start getting, you know, the notices from the library. Hey, you know, this book's late. So my dad sent the library in St. Augustine, Florida, a check to pay for it for Christmas that year. And he like wrapped up the receipt for me. And he's like, okay, you're free and clear. You're no longer a fugitive from the St. Augustine Library.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
And
that's how.
you know how much your dad paid? Was it just late fees, or he had to actually pay for the book? Like
$7.95. That's how much he had to pay, $7.95 in late fees.
wow. Oh,
Or maybe that was the price of the book too. I don't know, but yeah.
that's a good
Isn't
dad.
that funny?
If you were to launch a real life bromance book club, who would lead the discussions?
I would want Tom Hardy to lead the discussions because he's very feminist. I just kind of want, I want the Calm app to hire him to just sort of murmur nothings.
Man, det är bara en kvartetro. Men det är något markable.
He could just babble and for me to fall asleep to. So I would love for Tom Hardy to be the leader of my bromance book club.
I like everything that you've said. I'm a big fan of the Calm app, and oh my God, if Tom Hardy, I would just. Okay, so Tom Hardy as the leader. Which men would you invite to join your bromance book club? And these could be men you know or celebrities, being Tom Hardy's the leader.
Right, if Tom Hardy's the leader. So I would definitely invite my husband because I think he should read romance novels. Of course, he does not, which I think is just terrible. How bad for my brand.
I know.
I would invite Pete Buttigieg because I just think he is so smart, and I think he would offer some amazing commentary and insight. You know who I just have the biggest intellectual crush on that I would love to have in my book club is a historian named John Meacham. He's from Nashville. He even has sort of a bit of a Southern accent, but I consider him, I call him intelligence porn. Every time he talks, I'm just oh, please tell me more about the election of 1860.
I think this is an inflection election, unquestionably, arguably the most important since 1864.
If he could read romance novels and I could hear him talk about it, it would be amazing. Also, I got to go back to Chris Evans because I feel like he would actually really enjoy them.
Yeah.
I feel like he would become a romance novel addict, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add to your book club my husband. My husband, Tom,
Perfect.
will have to also join. He would just want to join, though, just so he can hang out with probably Chris Evans, but still.
Right.
Which title would you read first?
I think we would read one of the Spindle Cove books from Tessa Dare is our first book. One of the funny running gags is that there's this book on women's etiquette that they've, in this Spindle Cove is a seaside town where all these women live and sort of run the town in, Regency England. And they've bought up every copy of this women's etiquette book that they can find. And they use it for to boost up the table legs in their, local tavern. And they burn copies of it when the fire has gone out. And because it's just this really ridiculous advice for women on how to get a husband. And so I would love for that to be the first book for them to read because Tessa Dare is so funny about how she uses this fictional archaic book about advice for women that is actually so anchored in some of the ridiculous stuff that women are still told today. So I think that would be a really good start one. I think that would be a good one to start with. Yeah.
All right, cool. So that would be book one in the series, you think would be the...
Yes, book one in the series, the Spindle Cove series. That would be our first read. Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, I hope someday you're able to make this happen.
I hope so. Tom Hardy, if you're listening, let's do it.
Okay. And maybe there'd be Tom Hardy, my husband Tom. Maybe we could do the Tom trilogy and do Tom Hiddleston.
Yes. Oh yes, Tom Hiddleston. Oh my gosh, that's another one that I could just talk about anything. Talk about the stock market. Talk about, and it would be romantic if he would talk about it.
I agree.
Thank you so much it was a fun interview. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you, Lyssa, for joining. I'm glad that you enjoyed the Reader Seeks Romance experience.